Hey everybody, I'm Simmons. This is Philosophy for Where We Find Ourselves, July 6th, 2020. One of the things that I think prevents a lot of people from getting involved in philosophical conversations, in thinking philosophically in their daily lives, is the idea that philosophers really do sort of get comfortable with ambiguity. Now, this is a strange idea because ambiguity is not simply the recognition that stuff is hard and messy, but it's actually a living into that messiness. Just today, I had someone reach out to me who had seen some videos and said, look, I just don't know how you live this way. How is it that you can understand that there are so many different sides to issues? That's exhausting. And I think that's exactly the right way to put it. My wife often even tells me that she just doesn't know how philosophers aren't tired all the time. To which I respond, well, we kind of are. But I will say, by philosopher here, I don't mean people with PhDs in philosophy or people who are professors at universities. I mean anyone who takes philosophy up as a way of life, as what Pierre Hadot calls the engagement in the spiritual exercises to think well, rigorously, and critically about yourself, your world, and what's true within it. Ambiguity is the name we might give to the fact that precious little is obvious. This is a world that is messy, and only insofar as we actually take that messiness to be the context in which thinking and living happen, can we begin to think and live well. Now, in order to think about how we do this, there are so many examples of philosophers who are able to wrestle with that tension that we might say, you know, I come down here, but I am recognizing that there are lots of other places where I could come down, and it would be reasonable and moral to do so. Ultimately, where I stand or where someone else stands is a result of an enormous number of different factors that all play in and intermingle, only one of which is a matter of evidence. We should take evidence seriously in forming our beliefs and then guiding our actions. But we should also recognize that our experiences, our histories, our embodiment, our relationship to the world, all of this impacts the way that we navigate the messiness of the human condition and the world in which that condition plays out. My son is 10. He and I see the world very differently. And yet I'm trying not to train him just to hold the views that I hold, but to love truth enough to be able to do the hard work it takes to live into it. Ambiguity is not always fun. It's not something that allows us to tie everything up in a nice little bow at the end of a 30-minute lecture. But it is something that propels us ever forward. It allows us to realize there is more yet to be done. And that, I think, is what contributes to a kind of contented life. We can be content because we are reflectively aware and purposively engaged with where and why we are. So today, let me encourage you to take ambiguity seriously in order not simply to resolve the difficulty, to clean up the messiness, despite the fact that we're all washing our hands 100 times a day for 25 seconds every time. The messiness sometimes just needs to stay messy. But that doesn't mean we sit on fences forever. It means that we come down and we do so on purpose and we live into those decisions. But we also recognize that we could have decided otherwise. Many people have. And that continues to call us to reconsider our views, our actions, and why we take them. I hope this is helpful. Let me encourage you today, not simply to embrace the ambiguity, but to live into it so that you might live more effectively in a world that is messy, but also a world that is made beautiful by the complexity of all the others sharing it with you. I'll see you tomorrow, unless a piano falls on our heads.